Hello and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Boundaries. Thank you for joining me. So in this episode, I am going to be talking about what happens when things go wrong. I didn't think that I would be recording this video with a fractured foot, and you can't see it, but basically I'm in like a walking boot, and the last week has been really difficult. But basically what happened was, I think it was about 10 days into my stay here. So I had just got here, was exploring, was like looking around, really enjoying things. And one day I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm up quite early. Let me go on a run before I start work. And if you have ever lived anywhere in Europe, they often have marble stairs. And as I was going down the stairs, I was on my phone looking at something and just woken up, and I missed a step. The steps were unfamiliar. And yeah, I fell over and I was in so much agony. I won't go into all the detail, but I was on my own, and I think the adrenaline just got me into my flat. I felt I was going to faint or throw up from the pain. I got into my flat. Initially, I thought, well, because I can walk on it, it's probably just this really bad sprain. Got back, kind of lay down in bed, continued on with my day later on, but was in a lot of pain. And then my foot was just like really swollen. And actually, I ended up going to hospital the next day. And from there, it was fractured. And they did all the x-rays and all the tests. And I was in a cast for the first week. And then luckily they've moved me now into a walking boot, but I'm on crutches. And I just couldn't believe this had happened. So in this video, I basically want to talk about some of the things that have helped me when things go wrong. And hopefully, if things have ever gone wrong in your life or things don't go to plan, which, let's face it, happens to the best of us, what you can do to help. I do also want to say how lucky I have been. Despite coming here on my own in that first week, I met a few people, and how amazing the community and the nomads here are. So although I am alone and I came here alone, actually, I haven't felt alone during this situation. I'm really grateful for that. So what are some of the 4 things then that are helping me? And I say helping because I'm not recording this video fine. As I say, I'm on crutches. I'm really struggling to get around, and it's difficult. But I think the first thing is finding acceptance. So finding acceptance meaning not trying to fight the situation. And if you're like me and you have a plan and things don't go to plan, you just want to get back to the plan. And I just simply have to accept that I can't go out exploring, walking for ages now. I can't swim in the sea for a little bit. I can't do the things that I thought I would be able to do. And accepting that and being like, this is the situation now for at least the next, I'm very lucky it was a very small fracture, I should add. So it's only hopefully going to be about a month or so, but still not great. But accepting the situation. So that's the first thing. Don't fight it. I think the second thing is to train your mindset. This is hard, very, very hard. But really, I don't feel much pain now. So it's a mental game. It's a mental challenge. And at one point, the hospital thought I was going to be in a cast, which is different to a boot, a cast for about 5 weeks. So that would have meant I basically couldn't walk anywhere for 5 weeks. And that was really hard. Like, I was in tears. I just couldn't believe it. But training your mindset to almost be like, okay, this is now a mental game. This is a mental challenge against myself, can really help. And so I think, we talk about mindset and growth and all of these things and meditation. And actually, those things become more important when you're in a crisis or when something has gone wrong. And I think it's almost like doing those things, build the foundation to train your mind like any muscle to be able to cope with things and to build that resilience when things go wrong. So that's the second one, about training your mindset. The third one is really around seeking out help. So I really didn't want to hassle the people that I had just met. But honestly, you'd be surprised how much a lot of humans, good humans, want to help others. And so I had one guy who had met once come to the hospital with me and stay in the hospital for about 3 hours one evening. And it was really helpful because he could basically speak very good Spanish in the hospital. So that was really good and just completely helped me. I had another couple who I had met here, again, once come to the supermarket with me and do my groceries. I had someone else who I had actually never met before, but she and I had voice noted a few times. She came to the hospital and stayed with me for like 6 hours one day for my checkup. And so I'm just so grateful that there are people out there. But these people, had I not asked for help or had I not mentioned my situation and kind of reached out and said, this has happened, what do I do? No one would have been able to help because they wouldn't have known the situation. So number 3 is if things go wrong or you end up in a situation, ask for help. Don't be afraid of doing it. And I think this is just so relevant in all areas of life because in your career, it's also so key to ask for help. And I think sometimes we're worried about doing it. We're worried about seeming vulnerable or feeling like we might be a burden to the other person, but most people want to help other people. That is what I've learned. And I honestly hope from this experience, I hope that one day I can help someone who is also going through something like this or something unexpected. Because honestly, I think without the people in the community here around me, I would not be in such like good or fine spirits. I think I would be finding this so much harder. And then the 4th one is to take perspective. So it's really hard to take perspective sometimes. And I find this, I'm like, I could be like exploring the entire city. I could be going on these hikes. I could be going, I had all these big plans and it hasn't happened. And it probably won't until maybe the end of my stay or if I come back. And so that perspective is quite a negative perspective because it's like, I can't do what I wanted to do. However, you can also take perspective in another way in the sense that I'm very lucky that it's a very, very small fracture. I'm very lucky that when I fell, it wasn't a worse fall on my own. Things could have been so much worse. And I feel like I actually got off quite lightly from the situation. And also taking perspective for me, I think had this happened in London, I would have felt more down and more stressed. I mean, people said to me, like, are you coming back to the UK? I was like, absolutely not. Like, my mum was initially going to potentially fly out to help me. That was when they thought it was going to be more like a more serious break, but I'd be managing to get by myself with the friends and the people I've met here. But absolutely, I didn't want to go back to the UK. So taking perspective for me also means like I'm in a beautiful city. I can still explore a little bit, and yeah, I'm lucky that it was a small fracture and not worse. So try, when things go wrong in your life, try to take perspective. And I think that again can be applied to your career, it can be applied to your health, it can be applied to things going wrong in your personal life with like interpersonal relationships, whatever it might be. Take stock and take some perspective and just think how things could be worse and how actually maybe your situation isn't as bad as you maybe think it is. So those are my 4 tips to basically dealing with things when things go wrong. Number 1, to find a sense of acceptance. Number 2, to train your mindset. Number 3, to reach out and ask for help. And number 4, to really take a sense of perspective of the situation and actually, are things as bad as you thought they are? And I think for me, out of all of those, the one that I've struggled the hardest with is probably the first one in terms of accepting the situation, because I've been gearing up for this trip for so long and I had all these things planned that I wanted to do. But I'm now having to accept that it's not going to happen immediately. I'm having to accept that I can't just go dancing really late at night sometimes. I wanted to try Spanish dancing here. I can't do that. But the acceptance is hard. But I think when you start to accept your situation, us humans are adaptable. We get used to things. And I think I'm slowly getting used to accepting the fact that I may be a little bit limited in what I can do for now, and it is temporary for now. I think the one that has helped me the most is number 3, around reaching out and asking for help, because as I say, I've just been so lucky with the people who have been here who have helped me. I moved here like 2.5 weeks ago, knowing no one, not speaking really the language, completely on my own, living on my own. And I feel so grateful that something like this has happened, but I feel supported. And that means so much to me. And so, yeah, help others. When people reach out to you, help them. And if you feel you need help, ask other people, because most people do want to help. And it can really, really, support you when you're going through something difficult. So I guess overall, just know that when things go wrong, they'll be okay. As I say, have I been super cheerful? No, it's been hard. And when I started this channel, I wanted to talk to you about the ups and downs. I didn't think one of the downs was going to be as dramatic as this. But, it is what it is. And I have been, down about it, but you've just got to kind of move on and try to look forward. So basically, plan for me is I've got another checkup in 5 weeks. So hopefully by then the fracture will have healed. But I will keep you updated in the meantime with how things are going, and also bring you other content on some of the things that I'm working on now. And how I'm finding my sabbatical. But things can go wrong. Things can go wrong, but just know that you will be okay. Okay, that's a little check-in from me, and I will see you here next time.